My wife's family never respected me. They saw me as the quiet guy who married above his station, the introvert who didn't belong at their loud Italian dinners, the loser who couldn't hold a conversation about football or stock tips. Her brother Ryan was the worst, professional sales manager, loud, confident, the kind of man who measured worth by the size of your handshake and the label on your watch. "So, Michael," he said at Christmas dinner, his voice carrying across the table, "still doing that little computer thing?" "Software development, yes." Right, the app thing." He waved his hand dismissively. "My company just closed a $2 million deal last week. What's your biggest contract, 50 grand? I didn't answer. I just focused on my mashed potatoes. My wife, Rachel, said nothing. She never defended me at these dinners. She'd grown up in this family. She knew the pecking order. "Leave him alone, Ryan," her mother said, not unkindly. "Not everyone is cut out for business." That's how they saw me. The tech guy who couldn't handle real business. The quiet son-in-law who probably made $80,000 a year and should be grateful Rachel had married him. Ryan's wife, Jennifer, leaned over. "Ryan's being considered for VP of sales at his company. Can you imagine? VP at 34. "That's impressive," I said. It was, I meant it sincerely. Ryan grinned. "Maybe I can get you a job there, Michael. We need IT guys. Nothing glamorous, but it's stable work." I looked at him, at his self-satisfied smile, at the entire family nodding along. "What company is it again?" I asked. "Next-Gen Software Solutions. We're the fastest-growing enterprise platform in the sector." I nodded slowly. "I've heard of them," I said. I'd heard of Next-Gen Software Solutions because I founded it. 15 years ago, when I was 23, I built the first version of the platform in my apartment. Basic code, simple interface, a tool for small businesses to manage inventory. Over the years, it grew. I brought on partners, investors, a professional management team. I stepped back from day-to-day operations when the company hit 200 employees. But I still owned 34% of the equity. I still sat on the board. I still signed off on major decisions, including executive hires. Ryan had joined Next-Gen 8 months ago. I'd seen his name on the hiring paperwork. I'd said nothing. Why? Because it wasn't worth the drama. Rachel's brother finding a good job at a growing company was fine. His ego was annoying, but not my problem. Until it became my problem. The affair started roughly when Ryan joined the company. Rachel began spending more time visiting her brother at work. She'd come home late, smelling of wine, talking about networking events at the Next-Gen office. I'm not stupid. I noticed the patterns. Her phone was locked tighter than before. Her stories didn't quite add up. And one evening, I saw a text notification on her screen from someone named Marcus Sullivan, Chief Revenue Officer at Next-Gen, my company. He was sleeping with my wife. A member of my executive team was having an affair with the founder's wife, and her brother, who called me a loser every time I saw him, had no idea who I actually was. The irony was almost too perfect. I gathered evidence quietly, methodically, the same way I'd built the company: patience, documentation, attention to detail. And then I planned my exit. Let me explain my financial situation, since it's relevant. Next-Gen Software Solutions was valued at approximately $180 million at last count. My 34% stake was worth roughly $61 million on paper, though selling it would be complicated. More practically, I drew an annual distribution of approximately $1.2 million. My personal net worth, including the stake plus liquid assets, exceeded $15 million. Rachel didn't know any of this. When we'd met 12 years ago, I was just a software guy with a small company. I drove a Honda. I wore jeans to work. I didn't talk about money because I'd grown up poor and never got comfortable with wealth. Rachel liked that I wasn't flashy. She said I was grounded. Her family assumed that meant I was middle class at best. I never corrected them. What was the point? They wouldn't believe me anyway. And frankly, I enjoyed being underestimated. It told me exactly who people really were. Ryan, for example, had no idea that his performance reviews crossed my desk, that his VP promotion, the one he was so proud of, required my approval, that I could end his career with a phone call. I didn't want to do that. Despite everything, he was family. and I believed in separating personal feelings from business decisions. But Marcus Sullivan was a different situation. He was C-suite. His compensation package exceeded $400,000. He was sleeping with the founder's wife while drawing a salary from the founder's company. That wasn't personal drama. That was a conflict of interest, an ethics violation, a terminable offense. I documented everything before acting. Text messages Rachel had accidentally synced to our shared iPad. Hotel charges on the corporate card Marcus thought no one monitored. Calendar entries showing meetings that never happened. The affair had been going on for 7 months. I presented the evidence to the board's ethics committee, confidentially. They reviewed it for 2 weeks. Their conclusion was unanimous. Marcus Sullivan had violated multiple policies and would be terminated for cause. The committee didn't know he was sleeping with my wife. They only knew he was having an affair with an investor's spouse, technically accurate since I was also an investor. Marcus was called into the office on a Thursday. Security escorted him out that afternoon. No severance, no reference. Rachel didn't mention it when she came home that night. Interesting. The next phase was more personal. I filed for divorce the following week. Quietly, through an attorney who specialized in high-net-worth cases. Rachel was served papers at her yoga studio. She called me immediately, screaming, "What is this? What's happening?" "It's a divorce petition. I suggest you read it carefully." "But why? We were fine." "We weren't fine. And I know about Marcus." Silence. "The board knows too," I added. "He was terminated yesterday." More silence. "I didn't realize you had any connection to his company." "I don't have a connection, I own it." The phone went dead. Now it was time for Ryan. Ryan's termination wasn't about revenge. After Marcus was fired, the board conducted a broader review of the sales department. They discovered irregularities, expenses that didn't add up, client dinners that seemed excessive, commission structures that had been adjusted without proper authorization. Ryan was in the middle of it, not the mastermind. He wasn't clever enough for that. But he'd been sloppy. He'd submitted false expense reports. He'd claimed commissions on deals where he'd done minimal work. The evidence was clear. The board recommended termination. I recused myself from the vote, citing family connection, but the outcome was inevitable with or without me. Ryan received his termination letter on a Friday morning. Standard procedure. HR meeting, security escort, personal items boxed up. The letter was signed by the CEO as protocol required, but at the bottom, in the CC field, it listed the board members who had approved the decision. My name was there. Michael Chen, board chairman and founder. I'm told Ryan stared at that line for a long time. Then he went to the company website, clicked on leadership, saw my photo under founder and chairman. The same face he'd called a loser for 12 years. He tried to call me that afternoon. I didn't answer. He tried again the next day, and the next. On the 4th day, he showed up at my house, angry, desperate. "You set me up," he said. "This is revenge because of Rachel. Your expense reports set you up. The board made the decision. But you could have stopped it." I recused myself. Check the minutes. That's a technicality. It's procedure. The same procedure that protected you when you were hired, despite having a family connection to a major shareholder. He went quiet. "You knew? The whole time?" "I knew when you were hired. I said nothing because I didn't want family drama affecting business decisions. I was trying to be fair. And now? Now you've been terminated for falsifying expense reports. That has nothing to do with me or Rachel. But the timing is unfortunate but not manufactured." He stared at me. The same contempt he'd always shown, now mixed with something else. Fear, maybe. Disbelief. "You let me call you a loser. For years. You just sat there. I let you show me who you were. That's different." He left without another word. I never saw him again. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Rachel tried to claim half of my next-gen stake, $30 million worth. Her attorneys were aggressive, but the company had been founded 7 years before our marriage. The equity was separate property, documented and protected. She received her fair share of marital assets, generous by most standards, minimal compared to what she'd hoped. Her family stopped speaking to me. I expected that. What I didn't expect was the relief. 12 years of dinners where I pretended not to notice the condescension. 12 years of being the quiet one while Ryan held court. 12 years of watching my wife smile politely while her family dismissed me. Gone. All of it. I stepped back from Next Gen's daily operations entirely. The company runs smoothly without me. I collect my distributions. I attend quarterly board meetings. I let other people handle the stress. I bought a house in the hills, modern, glass walls, a view of the valley where I built my first company. I started dating again, cautiously. Nothing serious yet. I'm learning to trust differently now. Some evenings I sit on my deck and think about that Christmas dinner. Ryan's voice. Still doing that little computer thing? I wonder if he thinks about it too. Probably not. People like Ryan rarely reflect. They move on to the next opportunity, the next angle, the next person to impress. But I learned something from that family. Being underestimated isn't humiliation. It's information. It tells you exactly who deserves your truth and who doesn't.